What is up, YouTube? Welcome back to the Weapon Collective. My name's Jeff, and we are out here today with the new Staccato HD P4.5. So, what is this thing? If you didn't see one of my most recent videos where I kind of unboxed this in the Gat Cave, this is the next gun, the newest gun from Staccato. Runs the Glock magazines. This one does have a sight block built into the barrel, which is very cool. Staccato's gotten very good at doing like sight blocks, compensators into the barrel. So essentially, if you're shooting this thing, that front sight isn't going to move. I don't use front sights. I use the red dot, so it's kind of irrelevant. But I did see Monsoon Tactical already put a chunk port in that, which I think that looks pretty cool. They didn't waste any time doing that. Unfortunately, talking about Monsoon, I would love to have my P4 out here just to kind of compare the two, but it's been there getting work done, and hopefully I'll have that back fairly soon because I do want to run them against each other. Although when it comes back from Monsoon, it won't really be a fair fight. That thing will have a chunk port and probably whoop up on this thing pretty good. But I haven't taken any shots with this one yet, so today we're going to put some rounds through it, really see how this trigger is, and just get an overall first impression of shooting the Staccato HD P4.5. So let's get out and send some rounds through this bad boy. This mag, it doesn't like that mag. Okay, so we're talking about the Staccato HD P4.5, and just like its predecessor, I am finding that this is an uncomfortable gun to shoot. The thumb safeties on that beaver tail are constructed in such a way that it just pinches right up in the webbing of your hand and is fairly uncomfortable and bothersome. So we'll see. I don't know. I've maybe going to be wearing a glove when I'm shooting this, but we're at this target here. We're going to run a bill drill to focus on this trigger. This is a Series 80 trigger, which means it's drop safe. So different than all the other triggers on the 2011 market. So we figured a good way to kind of put it to the test is just to run a bill drill, see how that trigger feels when I'm trying to go fast. And then I'll compare it to another 2011 with just your Series 70 trigger and see how that goes. But kind of first shots here on actually running a drill, and we'll see how this thing goes. But I don't want to wear a glove, so I'll just deal with it being fairly uncomfortable. Whoa, couple high ones there, and you definitely feel that. But that was a 207, and I threw too high, so we'll do a full mag. Well, overcompensated there and threw them low. We have enough for one more. It's definitely, being a non-ported, non-comped gun, and trying to go fast, I can definitely feel a huge difference. I've never been a bill drill pro, but this one makes it more difficult for sure. Okay, that one was clean at 226. So not really fast on this trigger, but it's not noticeably horrible, I would say that either. It's just different. And I will say, if you saw the video that I did the other day unboxing this thing, the reset was, there was almost no reset. It just kind of came out, there was no sound associated with the reset. There was no tactile effect of reaching that reset. But now, after shooting it, there does seem to be a much more defined reset with this gun. So I think shooting this gun has broken it in a little bit, and it's actually getting to where it should be. Okay, back at the 7, and we're just gonna test a different 2011 with the Series 70 trigger. And I know, before you jump in the comments, it's not fair. I'm running the Nighthawk Sandhawk up against it, but it should just be an accurate representation of a 2011 trigger. This isn't some crazy speed trigger on this thing. It's a pretty, I mean, it's like 2.5 pounds and fairly standard for your nice high-end 2011 triggers. So we'll see how it stacks up on time anyway. So that was a 2-3-4, not great trigger pull, but super clean. That's one of my tighter groups on a bill drill actually, but the time suck is me trying to find the dot in that acro. I'm so used to it SRO. But let's keep running it. That one's clean at 2-3-4. One high, but 209. So right in that same place. So I'll try to speed it up here. I got one out high. Clean at 216. So it's not much faster really. I mean, the limiting obstacle here is me, my trigger finger. So I wouldn't say that Staccato is any slower. This is more accurate, that's for sure. But it trigger wise, I'm not noticing some huge difference between the Series 80, Series 70. So that's nice. It's just much more accurate on that. Sorry?
What about the feel of it?
Well, I'll take this all day. It feels a lot better. But I mean, I'd much rather have a tight group on that, because that Staccato, as fast as I could go, I only got one clean, but it was very spread out. That one was like that, which is good for me. Like, I'm not a bill drill, like I struggle with the bill drill. So be able to get them all clean in, I mean, I need to get under 2, but Sandhawk with the W on that one for sure. But it is very good. I would say I'm impressed to say that, like, the HD, that trigger, I expected to be worse. And that all being said, the word that I've heard is that Red Dirt is working on an aftermarket trigger for that gun, and I think that will be a huge improvement. At least I wish they came with the flat trigger. Curved triggers I don't love. I'd much rather have a flat trigger, but hopefully Red Dirt comes out with that aftermarket Staccato HD trigger. So, talking about this pinch on the gun, I'm right-handed. This is definitely a good left-hander's gun. So I'm just trying to get a feel, really sort out if there's anything different about this gun from the P4. And so I'm just gonna do some strong hand, weak hand stuff. See if shooting it weak hand has the same uncomfortability pinch on left hand. 3, 3, 3. So all trying to stay in the A zone. I don't have a timer, so. Looks like I pulled 2. They might be line breaks, but I don't feel, I mean, that was 3 shots, so it doesn't really count, but I didn't notice. It feels more comfortable in my left hand. And maybe I'm just not up as high in the beaver tail, because let me show you what's going on. Because what's happening is it's this area right here, pretty sharp, and this thumb safety, I think, that's pinching. So you get high up in that beaver tail like that, and this whole area right here just digs in. So maybe shooting lefty, I'm not quite as high, but I mean, it's hard to say off 3 rounds, but let's keep shooting and see how it goes. I'm just gonna shoot left hand and see if it gets uncomfortable. I'm gonna get nice and high in that beaver tail. Go for some headshots. So I don't notice that nearly as much in the left hand as I do with the right. And shooting both hands is really where I'm noticing the most of it, because now when I introduce my support hand, I'm introducing reverse pressure, and so I'm just even pushing into the web of my hand even more. So it's not a comfortable gun to shoot. That's all I can say. Yeah, the more I shoot it, the more I can feel it on my left hand, but I just don't think there's any way around it. It's not very comfortable, and I would wear gloves. I just need to get a fingerless glove and run it that way. Because when it's where I want it, my grip, it's unpleasant compared to other guns. So that's kind of a strike against it. They didn't fix that, but I didn't think they were going to, because they already had this thing designed. And I don't know what it would take to fix that, but maybe it's something that we can look at and just get a little file out and chamfer that edge. But it is something that hopefully on like the version 2 of these guns that probably will appear at some point, that they fix that, because that's a very common complaint. And I've also had people tell me that they've had their safeties just walk on. I've never experienced that. There was a rattle that people had associated with the recoil buffer. I haven't experienced that. And other than that, I mean, it's a fun little gun. I like it. It is definitely an agency gun, but we'll talk about that in the outro. So let's do it. Okay, just wrapped up the first range day with the Staccato HD P4.5, and this wasn't a full 2,000 round review. This was more of a first impressions / deja vu. And I say deja vu because the gun that preceded this one, the Staccato HD P4, that came out earlier this year, is a very, very similar gun. The problem is I sent that gun off to Monsoon Tactical to get some work done on it, and it's been there for months. And even before I sent it off, I hadn't shot the gun for months, so I'm having trouble remembering exactly what that trigger felt like, what the gun shot like. It's kind of a distant memory that I'm trying to compare to this one. The 4.5 has a 4.5 inch barrel, and the P4 has a 4. So you're getting half an inch longer of a barrel. This one does have the sight block milled into the barrel, and really, besides like aesthetics with slide serrations and everything like that, you're basically shooting the same gun. But if memory serves, I am going to say the P4.5 does have a better trigger. It also has a more buttery slide. And I do think that that half an inch is making this gun shoot marginally better. Now, it's not orders of magnitude better, of course, but it is noticeable. But as I said while we were out filming today, there is a hot spot on this gun. It was first reported on the P4, and it's right back here in this area where the beaver tail meets up with the thumb safety. And if I'm being honest, I didn't notice it on my P4, but it was winter when I was shooting that gun out here, and half the time I was wearing gloves. The other half the time my hands were frozen, so I wasn't feeling it anyways. But I definitely felt it today. And it's not the first mag. You don't pick it up in the first round, you feel that hot spot. But as you get deeper into the round count, it becomes more and more noticeable. So I even had my man Blake behind the camera shoot a mag, and he didn't notice it at all. So it's somewhere deeper in the round count. But I do think that that is a problem that needs to be addressed, really, because why would you buy the 4.5 or the 4? Why would you buy the HD? Well, you're either getting it because you want it to run Glock magazines, you are a lefty, you need an ambi gun, or you need a drop safe trigger. Or I'll give it this, it is a cool looking gun. So that might factor into it as well. But for the Glock mags, there are other guns in the category, like the Stealth Arms Platypus and the Fusion XP Pro. And some of those, like the XP Pro, are far cheaper than the HD, and they're comfortable to shoot. Now, I personally would say if you were gonna choose between the HD series and the Stealth Arms Platypus, if you went with the 5, I would go with the 5-inch Platypus over this. And a lot of it has to do with that hot spot. I don't wanna pay that kind of money to have a gun that is uncomfortable to shoot. So, other than running the Glock mags, I mean, I guess you're needing a drop safe trigger, a Series 80 trigger. And if you need a drop safe trigger, the HD really is your only option. But if you're just going out to get a 2011, I'm gonna say that Staccato has several models that I would choose before I would choose this, and they're all in a similar price point. So you have the C, the C2, and the P that all fall right in that same ballpark of cost. And all of those 3 guns are all very comfortable to shoot. They don't run Glock mags, but I'm not somebody that wants the gun to run Glock mags. And I just think they're better overall guns, and you're gonna have a more pleasant shooting experience with those. So it really just comes down to why Staccato made this gun. And the answer to that question is it was designed for government agencies. All the features of this gun are what are required by agencies to get this gun on their roster. So I would say it's not for us civilians. Let's leave it to the agencies. Take that money and spend it on a gun that is actually going to outperform this thing, be more comfortable, and just a gun that you will 100% love. And in that price point, there's quite a few, even if you venture out of the Staccato brand. So all of that being said, it is important to bring up that once I get my Staccato HD P4 back from Monsoon Tactical, everything I said may be incorrect. Maybe putting this chunk port in this gun is gonna make it just a total machine. I kind of doubt it. I don't think it's gonna outperform a Staccato P with the chunk port, but who knows? I won't have any idea about that until I actually get it back in hand and test it. So once that comes back, that will be happening. Please stay tuned for that video. Until then, comment, like, share, and most importantly, subscribe. I'm Jeff for the Weapon Collective, reminding you, keep your weapons collected and keep collecting your weapons. I'll catch you next time.